live chat. The Psychetruth live chat. Every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on your YouTube machine. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. I'll answer your questions about whatever you want to talk about on the Psychetruth. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. The Psychetruth. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. Ooh. The Psychetruth live chat. Hello, 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 and welcome. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for being here in the Psychetruth live chat. My name is Corrina Rachel, and I am a certified holistic health coach. I have made hundreds of videos on this channel, Psychetruth, on the topics of weight loss, nutrition, health, dieting, almost anything you can think of under that big umbrella of wellness, feeling good, looking good, having the energy, motivation, and positive outlook that helps propel us towards our health and fitness goals, whatever they might be. So the entire name of the game here in this live chat is asking your questions about health, wellness, etc. And I will do my very best to answer them or to direct you to a place where I think that you can find your answer. So, there we go. Moving in a little bit closer here so that I can read your questions. So for those of you who are already in the chat room, thank you for coming. Welcome, welcome, welcome. A couple little new update thingies. If you look in the little chat box area, down here where you enter your chat, there's a little money sign, a little dollar sign. So YouTube has added on a very cool little, whatever you call it, thingamajig, so you guys can actually leave a tip. And I have been instructed to prioritize questions that have a tip on them. I have not received a single tip. I give bazillions of tips all the time in my live chat. I've not received one yet. I'm just interested to know what it looks like. So if you guys want to leave a little tip and let me know that you are grateful and appreciative of the time I spend doing these chats, I would be greatly, greatly appreciative of it. Appreciative. All right, so I'm scrolling here looking for questions. So thank you for the tips. Please leave your tips. I will prioritize those questions or try to. And if you put some question marks in the beginning of your question, it will make it easier for me to see amidst all of the Brazilians of comments that are going to come in here. So Brian Keith Counterman Jr. has been holding down the chat here since the beginning. Brian, thanks for being here. Heather McNichol is this first question, and she says, when I eat healthy for a week, there's no weight change. But when I binge on junk foods, and the next day I've lost a few pounds. Why is this? My friend said that the same things happened to her. Okay, so a couple different things. First of all, usually when someone asks me a question, oddly enough, the first thing that I have is actually a question for you. So I would want to know things like, how much do you weigh? How much weight are we talking about here that you're losing? And presumably you're gaining and losing and gaining and losing. It sounds like you're wavering back and forth between eating healthy and binging on junk foods. So I would want to know things like how often is that happening? How much junk food are we talking about? Things like your age, how active you are, the thing about weight loss is that there are a ton of different factors that all kind of come together to determine how much weight we're going to lose or how much weight we're going to gain. So obviously, how many calories we eat, how many calories we burn, that's kind of the key, but that's not quite it, right? There's a lot of other considerations. So what are our hormone levels like? What are our stress levels like? How much sleep do we get? How old are you? Because if you are still in your teens and early 20s, just understand that the body is going through a lot of transition and a lot of growth during that time period. So it's really kind of difficult to really just narrow it down to one simple thing or one simple factor. Now, one thing I do want to mention about this, first of all, is that losing weight is a process. And what I mean is that you don't eat healthy one day and then the next day you've lost 10 pounds. It just don't work that way. All right. So to read her question again, right? She says, I eat healthy for a week and there's no weight change. Then I binge on junk food for a day and the next day I've lost a couple pounds. The first thing I would think is that when you see that weight that you lost, it's from the week of eating healthy. So it's like if you eat healthy for a week, it may take a week for your body to actually burn off the calories that you would have lost during that week of working out and eating healthy. So it's not like a day-to-day thing. You don't eat something one day and then the next day your body's responding to that. What happens each day is probably a response to what you did 3 days before, right? There's kind of like a lag time, maybe, is another way to look at it. Bottom line is this: don't fixate so much on the scale in the first place. Don't fixate so much on the scale in the first place because it's really not an accurate indicator of what's going on in your body. We can talk about water retention. We can talk about the fact that you weigh different things at different times of day. If you weigh yourself in the morning and weigh yourself at night, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I weigh a different thing. Well, it's not that you literally gained or lost weight over the course of that day. It's just that we weigh different things at different times. You weigh different things based on when was the last time you ate, based on when was the last time you peed, right? There's tons of different little factors, right? So looking alone at the scale is not a good indicator. I would encourage you to look at things like how tightly or how loosely your clothes are fitting, and your energy levels. What a great indicator on how healthy you're being. How much energy do you have? What is your, mindset like? Last thing I want to say about this, and then I will move on, is that the thing about, healthy foods versus junk foods, to just really pare it down, really simplify it down. When we're looking at the problems with junk foods, what happens to our waistline is just one among dozens, if not hundreds, of effects that foods actually have on our body. So if you're putting toxic junk into your body in the form of junk food, fast food, microwave meals, etc., just understand that gaining weight from those foods is maybe like the least of the problems of what you are, putting on yourself when you eat those things. So, I understand that weight loss is kind of the main goal for a lot of people, but you gotta accept and understand that, at some point in your life, you're gonna regret those bad eating decisions you made, because they can cause severe health issues, severe hormonal imbalances. When we talk about eating tons of processed foods, this is terrible for your mental health, your energy levels, etc. So, bottom line, I encourage you to eat healthy foods. I encourage you to not fixate on the scale, on the number on the scale. It's just not an accurate indication. And 3, don't expect to have immediate results of things that you do. If you're eating healthy and doing good things for a week, it may not be the very next day that you start to lose weight. And also the body adapts to things. So constantly jiggy-jockeying between eating healthy and eating junk and whatever, is not going to help your body adapt to anything. So try to be consistent. Try to eat healthy most of the time. And if you need to eat junk food here and there, just so that you feel like you aren't withholding too much of yourself, fine. But jiggy jockeying between being healthy and then eating complete junk is only going to throw off more balance, you know, or is only going to make it harder for your body to balance itself. I just want to comment, is also talking about binge eating. Because the last comment was about binging, I'm just going to answer this quickly as I scroll looking for more questions. You know, those junk foods and processed foods, they're literally engineered to make you overeat them. Like, the food scientists who make the Cheeto, they specifically design the Cheeto to make you overeat it. With refined carbohydrates, with partially hydrogenated fats that actually don't register in your mind that you're eating fat. So you can just eat huge amounts of calories, huge amounts of fat, and it never registers to your brain the way if you ate nuts or an avocado, an actual food, then your brain would register. I just had this many calories, I just had this much fat, and your body will fill up and tell you to stop eating. When you eat those junk foods and processed foods, they're literally designed so that your brain never gets a message that you're full and you need to stop eating. That's why it's so easy to binge on junk foods. So my best advice to stop binging is to just eat regular, natural foods. And you should find you can't binge on them. At some point, you reach your fullness and your body just says, no, don't eat anymore. And suddenly you've resolved your binge eating and you're eating healthier. 2 in 1. What could be better? Elizabeth Leon, best natural medicine for a sore throat. There are a lot of different herbs, okay? And each herb will have various properties. So there is something known as marshmallow root. There's another, or maybe it's not root, but marshmallow, and not actually like the marshmallow, like the white puffy thing. It's an herb called marshmallow. There's several different herbs, and basically what you get, and the reason that I would recommend them for a sore throat, is that they literally have certain properties. One of them is called mucilage. There's another one called demulcent. Basically, this means that those herbs can go in and help heal and repair delicate mucous membranes, such as those inside of your nose, those inside of your throat. So herbal tea would be my recommendation for a sore throat. And I would just encourage you to, look for something that's high quality. Okay. And if you want, you can even look up herbs and say, what are the best herbs for a sore throat? And you will even find a big list of the herbs that people have used for things like sore throats or whatever. We have a place here in Austin called the Herb Bar, and literally you can walk inside and talk to one of the herbalists there, tell them your problem, and they will help you find the exact tincture or blend or product to kind of help address those things, because there are so many different herbs and each one has different properties. So depending on what issue you're trying to resolve, certain blends of herbs can be really, really effective for stuff like that. There's also, really strong immune boosting herbs. So again, you can get some kind of a tincture or a tea blend of something that's going to really help to support your body and literally help to heal those damaged mucous membranes that are causing that sore throat. Adding things like honey to hot tea can also be very, very nice to kind of just coat the throat. There's a brand of tea by Traditional Medicinals called Throat Coat. I swear by that stuff. I love that tea. M. Scott, what's the difference between non-GMO and organic, and which is best? Non-GMO means that the food isn't genetically modified. Genetic modification is a very, very specific process that involves genetically splicing 2 different plants, and typically they're not even the same organism. So what we learned about in biology class in high school or maybe in college was about like breeding and natural selection. So if you remember when I think it was like Mendel, right? And he took his pea plants. And he would take different pea plants and he would breed them in different ways to make a taller one or a bigger one. All right, that is different. All right, that's selective breeding. That's something that like your average farmer, right, is doing all the time. It's a natural thing, right? It's kind of helping natural selection. But genetic modification is completely different. Genetic modification means that you take the genetic material from something like a fish and put it in something like a tomato. The most common genetic modification, okay, is making what they call Roundup ready crops. So Roundup is a pesticide. Or wait, no, is it an herbicide? I feel really bad. I can't recall. It's either an herbicide or a pesticide. Bottom line is that there is a bacterial strain that they discovered which is basically immune to this pesticide. And what they did is they will actually take the genetic material out of the bacteria and put it into plants so that the plants can sustain being sprayed with Roundup. But anyways, genetic modification, taking the genetic material of two different organisms, two different species, and putting them together. So these things have been found to completely destroy the health of your digestive lining. There's all kinds of different problems with GMOs. I'm not going to go off on a huge GMO thing unless y'all want me to. The bottom line is that genetic modification process is something I go out of my way to avoid. Things that are organic are definitely are definitely not GMO. But things that are non-GMO aren't necessarily organic. Organic just means that it's not sprayed with toxic chemicals, or it's sprayed with less chemicals than the non-organic. I personally always opt for non-GMO and organic. But just do the best that you can. Bottom line is that it will always be healthier for you to eat a vegetable than to not eat it. So just buy what you can afford. All right, if you can get the non-GMO, great. If you can get the organic, great. But at the same time, like if you can't afford to get those, then that's okay. Just get what you can afford. Okay, so it looks like someone, the Alaric 89, it says NOK 100. What does that mean? Does that mean that they left me a tip? Live, I don't get how this works. God darn it. Okay, cool. So yes, the Alaric 89. Yay! Thank you so much for the tip. You are so sweet. That is my first tip ever in all of my years of doing live chat. I've been doing this for several years now, every single Wednesday. So thank you so much. You are so kind. It didn't show me if you have a question or not. Okay, here we go. I think I see your question. The Alaric 89, should one take an extra day of rest if sore or just train lighter? Okay, I love this question. And this is really something that I think most people are not doing correctly. So when you work out, when you're actually doing bench presses or doing a sprint, running, whatever it is, okay, while you're actually in the process of working out, you are destroying muscle fibers. All right, and this is why we feel sore. Right, this is why we typically hear about taking a rest day in between working out certain muscle groups. Right, so people will have like leg day, arm day, etc. Right, and the idea is that you break up your workouts so that you can allow your muscles to heal and repair. So the question is, should I take an extra day of rest if I'm still feeling sore? And the bottom line here is that ultimately there's probably not one size fits all answer. The bottom line is that you need to listen to your body. I personally will give myself as much rest as I need to get to the point where it's not painful for me to work out. I personally feel that there is, not only is there less benefit, but there's also potential for harm if we try to push ourselves too far. So for instance, if you do crazy leg day and your legs and your glutes are just super duper sore, then I think that 2 days of rest is perfectly acceptable and is probably even advantageous, because if you don't fully allow your muscles to heal before you start working them again and breaking them down again, then you're really not giving your body a chance to reap the benefits of whatever that workout is. I would definitely recommend stretching those muscles that are sore. So sometimes what I'll do is just kind of like systematically break down, like after my leg day, do 2 days of lower body stretches or something like that, so that you're still working out those muscle groups. You don't necessarily want them to just be sedentary and unused during those rest days. But at the same time, don't push yourself to do another big workout on them, because you're actually not going to reap the benefits. I think people who get into really strong muscle building and bodybuilding types of things, there's actually a point where they kind of maybe take advantage of the fact that they're training before the muscles heal. But as a general rule of thumb for the average person, I think that you should take as many rest days as you need before the pain is gone, right? I mean, obviously it's going to hurt when you start working out again, but it shouldn't be like you do 1 squat and you're dying. Let your muscles heal fully. Do lots of stretching. Do lots of movement in that area of the body that's feeling sore. The more that you stretch right after your workout will also help prevent you from being as sore the next day. So hopefully that's a little trick that you can use. I guess that's really all I have to say about that. So thank you so much. Thank you for your tip. Thank you for your question. I'm going to scroll. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is kind of cool. Okay, cool. Lauren Demaraff left a tip. So what's kind of rough here, though, is that it shows me... Oh, sweet. Issa Dev, thank you. Oh my gosh, y'all are so sweet. I feel like it's my birthday or something. I literally feel like it's my birthday. I'm so excited. The only thing is that, like, it shows me the tip, but then it doesn't show me the person's comment or question next to it. So, leave your... What did I say? And I apologize because this is our first time experimenting with this whole tipping thing. So I want to make sure that people who do leave a tip get their question answered. So maybe just, if you do leave a tip, guys, relieve your question so that it'll pop up right underneath it and I will see it. Because it gets to be a lot of comments in this little stream here. Sweeta Sara, I love this question. How to have the will to diet and do sports, knowing that I'm 40 and 129 kilograms. So there's a lot of, this question is like an onion. It's like a parfait. There's a lot of layers. Little Shrek reference there. Okay. So there's a lot of different parts to this question. Let me just like hit on a couple of them, because this is something that literally every single one of us has to deal with, right? How do I get up the motivation to get up early and go for a run? How do I motivate myself to eat a salad instead of a hamburger? Right? How do I do it? Where does that come from? Where does that motivation come from? The will to diet and exercise. So the first thing I would say is, when you are looking for motivation, I find that having a visual motivation is not nearly as motivating to me as having a, I don't know, what I might call like a long-term motivation. So in my mind, the reason that I choose salads over burgers, the reason that I make time to work out, the reason that I will, pass up going out and drinking or doing something fun to do something that's healthier, is because I literally see every single one of those decisions as an investment in myself and an investment in my future. So what I mean by that is I am thinking long term. I'm thinking things like, I want to have the same energy that I have now 10 years from now, 20 years from now. I want to have the physical ability, the mobility, the strength, all of that to still be healthy and still be able to do the things that I love when I'm older. So we can think about the kind of like typical, like grandma or grandpa or something, right? As people start getting a lot older, they start to get this hunching over the back. They start to kind of get the little curvature of the spine, right? Now, that is not something you are born with. All right. Now, there's probably something in our genetics that maybe predisposes certain people to that more than others. But the bottom line is that we have the ability to prevent that loss of mobility, that loss of movement, that pain that so many people experience in their older age. We can prevent that with the things that we do now. I want to have the strength and the energy to play with my kids. I don't have kids right now, but when I have kids, all right, I want to know that I'm going to have the strength and the energy and the mobility to play with them and to be there with them, and to raise them the way that I want to raise them, and not be limited in my movements or have such bad back pain that I can't pick them up or something, right? These are all the types of considerations that for me help me to make that healthier decision. So for me, just thinking like, oh, I want to look this way or be this certain weight or whatever, that doesn't work for me. But you got to find the motivating factor that works for you. Is it your family? Is it something that you love to do? Like I have some friends who love snowmobiling. They're obsessed with snowmobiling. But hey, if that is what motivates them to try and stay healthy and stay strong, great. So maybe it's something you love to do. Maybe, I think family is a big one. Not having pain is a big one. So picking the right motivations would be the first tip. The second thing is to, just pick little goals. And I talk about this all the time, so I apologize if I sound like a broken record, but clearly this is still a problem because I've got 100 people in my live chat, right? Clearly people are still trying to get healthy, so I'm going to keep saying it. Pick really small, realistic goals, because it feels really overwhelming to try and do everything at once. And I understand that, okay? I am the same way. I know that I'm not going to be able to make a bazillion changes all in one day. So we got to break it down, make it smaller, start really small. And I really encourage people to smaller the better. So if you're someone who doesn't exercise at all, okay, which is most people, all right, that's kind of the average situation in this day and age, is that most people are not physically active. What is a reasonable goal for you to start with? 3 minutes a day? 3 minutes a day. Either stretching, you can do it with me right now. Let's just do some little arm circles while we're sitting here in the live chat, right? Stretching, moving, jumping jacks, walking around the block, walking around your house. Start small. Going to the gym is intimidating. I'm a fitness person and I still kind of find going to the gym to be intimidating, right? But so pick things that you can see yourself doing, make them really, really small, super itty bitty tiny goals, like 3 minutes a day of stretching, right? Because the more that you can build your wins and keep hitting your goals, no matter how small they are, it will propel you forward. Whereas if you give yourself a goal like, okay, I'm going to start exercising every day for 2 hours. I'm going to give up sodas. I'm going to give up chocolate. I'm going to give up coffee. I'm going to start eating, 10 servings of vegetables every day. Well, suddenly, guess what? You're probably not going to do any of those things. You're just not. because it's too overwhelming. It's too much. So start small. I'm going to give up 1 soda a week and drink a healthier beverage instead, like coconut water. This is just regular water now, but it was a coconut water. I'm going to do something simple, like if you're a smoker, okay, what a great example of a way to, like if I say, okay, you got to stop smoking tomorrow, that's really unlikely that you're going to do that. I mean, there's some people who do things cold turkey, but by and large, most people are not the cold turkey type of person, right? We're creatures of habit. So give yourself a goal, like I'm going to, just start cutting down 1 cigarette a week. Or once a week, when I would normally reach for a cigarette, I'm going to take a walk around the block instead. Once a week, when I would normally reach for a donut, I'm going to pass on the donut and eat a banana instead. Just once a week. You don't have to give up the donuts completely, but once a week, you're going to make a healthier choice. Anyways, between myself, between my health coaching clients, my friends, my family, this is the technique that I have seen work for so many people. Rather than having these big giant goals, pare it down. The smaller, the better. And suddenly you will find that you are moving towards that healthier lifestyle. And once you start to reap and experience the benefits, suddenly that pushes you forward too and gives you even more motivation to make more changes like that. Awesome effort. Jennifer Finley says, you help me sleep every night. Thank you. So Jennifer, thank you so much for your tip. I am assuming that you are talking about the ASMR videos, although I'm sure that people sleep to my nutrition videos too, just saying. For those of you who don't know, I just want to make a quick mention that we do have a second channel. That's our ASMR channel. This is a style of video that is completely designed to help reduce stress and help people sleep. So if you have ever been someone who lays in bed at night with your mind going a bazillion miles a minute and you can't fall asleep, type in the letters ASMR on YouTube and you will find videos to help you sleep. So sleeping is a very, very important part of our health. And anyone who has had insomnia or had lack of sleep for any period of time knows how horrible that feels and how much it just completely kind of handicaps your whole life. Your whole energy just kind of goes down the drain. So getting your sleep in line, getting plenty of sleep every night, so important. And it's important for weight loss and stuff too. So a little plug for the ASMR videos. Amanda Wright, what can I take to help me sleep? So food-wise, interestingly, there's a component in celery that I can't remember what it's called, some long freaking crazy name. But anyways, there's a chemical component in celery that is very, very effective for reducing cortisol levels and reducing stress. So celery and peanut butter or celery and almond butter is a kind of like late night snack thing that I really like having. I'm not sure if that's what you were asking though. She says, what can I take to help me sleep? Also consider magnesium. So magnesium is a mineral. It works hand in hand with calcium. Calcium helps muscles to contract and magnesium helps muscles to relax. Most of us get plenty of calcium, especially if we drink milk and then they add additional calcium to the milk and stuff. But unfortunately, we end up with way too much calcium and most of us are deficient in magnesium. So you can take magnesium in capsules, you can take it in a spray because it will actually absorb through the skin. There's something called Magnesium Calm, which is a flavored fizzy drink. That's a great thing to help you sleep. Magnesium Calm is the name of it. You know, a lot of times when we're talking about sleep, I think more important than the thing to take is to look at the things in your life that you're doing that are preventing you from falling asleep. Things like drinking coffee, eating sugar and refined carbohydrates, especially if you're having sugar and carbohydrates in the evening time, you know, in the last couple hours before bed, that can prevent you from falling asleep. So staying away from the sugar and the carbs before bedtime, watching your coffee intake throughout the day. There are some days that I drink so much coffee during the day that I can't fall asleep at night. And I'm like, I had too much coffee. And actually, I usually will get up and do some yoga or some kind of like just quick like workout next to my bed to like wear my body out so I can fall asleep when I've had too much coffee. Ooh. Photogenic justice. I have a huge problem when it comes to dieting. What is possibly the most beneficial diet that will help with weight loss and give me the energy to work out? Okay, so a couple different things, because I'm seeing some questions here about different diets and about veganism or whatever. So I'm going to just give my little spiel. When it comes to dieting, the first and foremost, man, actually this is hard. What is the first and foremost? There's a couple things I think are super important. Definitely up there, perhaps the first or in second line, would be paying attention to your calorie restriction and avoiding calorie restriction as much as possible. And what I mean by that is don't starve yourself. Don't do it. Interestingly enough, when we restrict calories too much, so obviously overeating calories causes weight gain. I'm not denying that, okay? If you eat too many calories, you're gonna gain weight. That's what happens, right? But if you eat too little calories, okay, it doesn't work the opposite way. If you eat too little calories, your body will hold on to fat more strongly and more stubbornly than it does when you're eating normally. And I'm going to say that again just because it's so important, all right? So you asked me what's the most important thing? I think this is it. If you are restricting your calories, if you are hungry all the time, your body will hold on to fat more stubbornly than it did when you're eating normally and consistently. So actually the best thing that you can do is try to eat regularly scheduled meals. So I understand that it's hard to eat at the same exact times every day. It's hard to do, right? But you at least want to have that general guideline and at least avoid skipping meals. Okay? If your body goes several hours without any food coming in, all right, then your body starts to go into a bit of a panic mode. Okay, it starts becoming stressed out because it's going, okay, are we going to get to eat here? What's going on? And at that point, all of the fat that your body has saved up, because all that fat, this guy right here, okay, that is energy waiting to be used. And when you calorie restrict, okay, your body holds on to that fat even more. So don't skip meals. Don't starve yourself. Try to eat as close to regularly as possible, or at least eating every, 4 to 5 hours. Okay? In terms of which diet you're gonna do, I personally feel that we should not go on diets. Because every time you go on a diet, at some point you're gonna go off of the diet. And when people go off their diets, all manner of hell breaks loose, right? You're binge eating, you're going to Krispy Kreme on your way to Starbucks, on your way to Amy's Ice Creams. I mean, right? When we go off of our diets, we go haywire. So I would actually encourage you to not go on a diet at all. Just look at ways to eat healthier. Look at ways to eat healthier. And in terms of which way of eating you're gonna do, is it vegan, is it paleo, is it keto, whatever, understand that every person's body is different. We all got to try different things, all right? Just because it works for one person doesn't mean it's going to work for you. You got to accept that you have to find what works best for you, and that diet may not look the same way as Freely the Banana Girl or even the way that I eat, or the way that your best friend eats, who has an amazing figure. She can eat whatever she wants and she never seems to gain weight. Well, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean that she's healthy. Doesn't necessarily mean she's gonna always look like that, right? So just get that, like, there's no one size fits all perfect diet. If I was gonna give you some bottom line things that you definitely need, the bulk of your calories should come from natural foods. The bulk of your calories ideally should come from vegetables. Salads, making steamed vegetables, or even a stir fry with a bunch of vegetables in it. The more you can increase your vegetable intake, the better. I'm gonna save the conversation on veganism versus meat eating for somebody who asks that a little bit more specifically. Probably the bottom line, most important thing you need to know, you need to know to lose weight is to avoid spiking your insulin levels. Avoid spiking your blood sugar. So blood sugar spikes come from sugar, obviously, and refined carbohydrates. So white bread, pasta, potato chips, those guys are super bad. Avoid them. And again, the more that you try to eat plenty of vegetables, eat plenty of natural foods, you will be avoiding that blood sugar spike just by eating naturally. Eating things that are minimally processed. Awesome. So I saw another tip come in, but I do not see the question. God dang it. I'm trying to scroll down here. It's kind of cool. It's actually really cool because it does kind of show me. Okay, there's Jennifer Finley. There's the Alaric. Woohoo! Thank you so much. You're so kind. God, there's so many questions. I'm just bowled freaking over by how many questions there are. Anyways, okay, so I apologize, you guys. Okay, somebody just left a tip. I think it was Nicole. Anyways, please leave your question again because I'm not seeing it here. There's just so many freaking questions. I literally cannot. Okay, here we go. I found one. All right, Kimberly Davis. I'm not sure if this is the one that I just saw or not, but here at least is if you put your question with your tip amount, then they'll be in one place and it'll make it easier for me to make sure you get your question answered. All right, Kimberly says, besides weight loss with diet and exercise, what other recommendations do you have for lowering high blood pressure? All right, so this is a really good question. And actually, I could do a whole video on this topic. One kind of often overlooked component of blood clotting and blood pressure issues is actually the presence of sugars in the diet. So when we eat things that are like I was just saying, right? The refined carbohydrates, the sugar, okay, the simple carbs, when those things break down inside of the body, they produce something called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. So basically, when these little AGEs flow through the bloodstream, okay, so you eat your food, right? The sugar goes into your bloodstream in the form of blood glucose, and then at that point, it starts getting broken down and processed. And this is where we get advanced glycation end products. So these aren't in our stomach, they're in our bloodstream. All right, and what they do inside of the vasculature, or inside of the actual blood vessels, is they kind of, they're almost like sandpaper. Okay, they're very abrasive and inflammatory to the inside lining of the blood vessels. So what that means is you have increased prevalence of blood clotting, and you usually also have high blood pressure, simply because now your arteries and your veins are just inflamed on the outside. Like, do y'all remember that Simpsons episode where they go to the water park and Homer goes through the tube, right? And he gets stuck. Bless his little old heart. Love the Simpsons. But anyways, right, he gets stuck in the tube. So you can just imagine, right, if you're going down a water slide, if the water slide was coated on the inside with, sandpaper and just all kinds of stuff, right? It's abrasive. It's not smooth. Suddenly, nothing can flow through it as easily and as smoothly, right, as when it's like a normal water slide and it's smooth all the way, right? It's not crunchy on the sides. So reducing refined carbohydrates and sugars in the diet is really important. Technically, that is part of diet and exercise, like you said there, but it's a very specific dietary recommendation that is often overlooked. So reducing your sugars, reducing white bread, potato chips, tortilla chips. It's okay to eat the natural food, the corn, the brown rice, the whole grains. All right. There still will be some of those advanced glycation end products with those foods. All right. But not in nearly the same amount that you'll get them in something that's like a refined carbohydrate, like white bread. It's super starchy. Anyways, so that is a big one. Sleep is another really, really important part of moderating your blood pressure. When we talk about elevated levels of cortisol, cortisol is just one of the stress hormones, but it's one of the most well-studied stress hormones. They look at cortisol. They find that it's highly correlated with excessive belly fat. Excessive belly fat is in direct correlation with elevated levels of cortisol. Cortisol is also associated with blood pressure issues. So the bottom line is, we live in a stressful world. Okay? To tell someone, you need to avoid stress. That's like the most ridiculous recommendation you can make to someone. Oh, you need to avoid stress? What are you going to go do? Live under a rock? It's pretty much impossible to avoid stress in this day and age, right? But what we can do is build up our toolkit, so to speak, our toolkit for handling stress, for dealing with stress, so that when we're in a stressful situation, which we inevitably will be in, right? When we're in a stressful situation, we can handle that stress in a healthier way. Avoid becoming really overwhelmed by the stress. So something like breathing deeply. When I'm stressed out, if I can get outside into the sun, into the fresh air, I will immediately start to feel better. So reduce stress, get more sleep, find things that you enjoy doing. Anything that makes you smile is a stress relieving activity. Gonna be better if it's something that's actually like more active and engaged than like watching TV. All right. So little crafting types of things. I love having little creative, crafty things to do with my time, and it makes me feel really happy. It's very good for stress as well. So just find things you enjoy. The bottom line, it's got to be something you like. But find things you enjoy doing, work to reduce your stress, work to get more sleep, and, like I said, stay away from the carbohydrates and sugars as much as possible. And, that in combination with the diet and exercise that I presume you're already doing, you should definitely see some positive results that come. Okay. All right, this is cool. This is super cool. Okie dokie, Charlie is here. Yes, Charlie is Charlie Wallace. Guys, we'll give a little hand for Charlie. He is one of our much beloved Patreon supporters. That means he gives a donation each month to help our production expenses and production costs. So Charlie, I think it's been a while since you've had a question in the chat. Let me know if you have a question, Charlie, and I will be happy to answer it, because yes, you have definitely made so many wonderful contributions to our channel, and we are greatly appreciative of that. So Meditation. Kate is chiming in here. She says meditation is great for stress. I can't believe, how did I not mention that? But yes, doing some kind of guided meditation can be very effective for stress. ASMR videos can also be really, really effective for reducing stress and getting better sleep. A lot of those videos I've actually done guided meditations as part of the ASMR video. It's something that I personally find really, really, helpful to have somebody like walking you through the process of relaxing. Amanda is here. Hi, Amanda. Thank you so much for being here. It has been way too long since I have talked to you. Let's try to talk super soon. Please, please, please. Okay. So, Elena Jovic, what's the most effective way to slim your thighs? I started walking every day, 10,000 steps. I hope it's okay. Walking is definitely a wonderful thing to do for us, especially 10,000 steps a day. That's a lot. I assume you have a counter thing. You're not actually counting the 10,000 steps every day. So let's see, inner thighs. There are actually a bunch of different inner thigh videos on this channel. It's a little hard to explain without, I don't know. I would just, all I can say honestly is check out some of the inner thigh videos on this channel, because we have a lot of different people that have done inner thigh videos and shown various moves that I will attest to you freaking make your inner thighs burn like freaking heck. So one is like if you're like laying on your, it's a long story. But anyways, check out the videos. This isn't really the best place for explaining fitness moves, unfortunately. But yes, walking will be super effective. Something that's a bit more intensive and cardio based, like jogging, swimming, things like that will be even more effective. But walking 10,000 steps a day is definitely a wonderful first step. I didn't mean for that to be so cheesy, but it was. Somebody has a birthday in here. Happy, happy birthday. Sometimes I do not know what you guys are talking about. I apologize. How many calories in chocolate? Interestingly enough, chocolate itself, okay, the actual cacao bean, is very, very low in calories. It's mostly fat. The actual cacao bean. Once it gets processed into cocoa, okay, we lose the health benefits. So when you're talking about raw chocolate, okay, so actually getting raw cacao beans or the raw cacao nibs or anything that says raw chocolate on the bar, okay, it's using those minimally processed cacao beans, and in that state, it's actually the highest source of magnesium. We were talking earlier about how magnesium helps with stress and with sleep. Actually, raw chocolate is a fantastic source of magnesium. But you want to have that raw, and what you're looking for is cacao, C-A-C-A-O. That just means it's minimally processed. Once it turns into cocoa powder, we lose the health benefits. And then once it's turned into a chocolate bar, they add that cocoa powder to a bunch of sugar and other ingredients. And then that is where the caloric value of the chocolate bar is going to be defined. So it's going to vary completely depending on what you're eating. So when we hear about dark chocolate being healthier, the reason is that it contains less sugar than milk chocolate. So your typical milk chocolate, Hershey Kisses type of thing, right? There's a lot of sugar, and that's part of the reason those things taste so good, right? They just have a huge amount of sugar. So when you have a dark chocolate bar, there's typically less milk and less sugar that's added to it. So dark chocolate will tend to be much lower in calories than regular chocolate bar. And then if you really want to get the health benefits eating chocolate, make sure it's a raw chocolate bar. Or you can actually get the raw cacao beans at the store yourself and turn them into, put them in smoothies, put them in, whatever you're making yourself. The raw cacao bean on its own is not sweet. It's actually very bitter. But if you like chocolate, you will love it. And of course, you can always add however much sweetness you want to whatever thing you're making. One of my favorite things to do is making what I call like a Reese's peanut butter shake with raw cacao beans. Excuse me, knocked my laptop over. Woo! It's getting all woo-woo in here. Raw cacao beans, peanut butter, a banana, and then I will use dates in smoothies for a little bit of sweetness. Making myself really hungry right now, I tell you what. Buddy, how to crack a coconut. If you put that in on our channel, I actually did an entire video showing how to open a coconut. Basically, if you have a big giant knife, you want to use the butt of the knife, the little sharp part that's like down by your fingers, and then you like kind of like jab that in on the top of the coconut in a either square or like hexagon kind of shape. I'll just like keep making hacks with the butt of the knife until you can pull the little lid off. It won't actually cut it in half that way, but you'd lose all your coconut water if you just cut it in half. A machete is also probably very helpful, but most of us don't have a machete lying around the house, so I use the butt of a large knife. Ooh, Victoria Bedford, what is good to eat or drink for headaches? So actually, I swear by coconut water for headaches. Anytime I have a headache or I'm a little hungover, bless my heart, coconut water is my first stop, and here's why. The cool thing about coconut water is that it's literally more hydrating than regular water because it has more hydrogen. There's also a great amount of what's called electrolytes. An electrolyte is basically just a nutrient with an electrical charge. Now, that's basically all of them, right? And they'll all have a different electrical charge. But the electrical charge that you have on the minerals, so this one actually even says, manganese, phosphorus, magnesium, niacin, zinc. When we are sweating, when we're working out, right, we typically hear about, hey, you need to drink sports drinks to get the electrolytes. Well, it's because we are sweating out so many of those different nutrients that you actually need to add them back in. But the cool thing about electrolytes is that any natural food that you eat contains electrolytes. Any fruit, any vegetable. So squeeze some lemon in your water. Eat a banana. Eat some pistachios or almonds. You'll get some electrolytes. Or in the case of a beverage, coconut water is my go-to thing. And anytime I go to work out, I always bring coconut waters with me. I always have them at the fitness shoots so that people can have a coconut water after they make a yoga video or a fitness video. This is definitely kind of like my go-to thing for headaches. Obviously, regular water would be a good thing to try as well. Dehydration is a big cause of headaches. Stay away from sugar, stay away from caffeine. Now, if you have a caffeine addiction and actually caffeine withdrawal is the cause of your headache, then you can experiment with having just a little tiny bit of caffeine just to see if it'll help your headache go away. Now, if you are able to observe that you are having caffeine withdrawal headaches, so for instance, the day that you don't drink coffee, you get a horrible headache, that'd be a good indication, right? You need to start working yourself, weaning yourself off of the caffeine. It's not that you can never ever drink caffeine. Now, obviously, ideal scene for our health is that we don't drink caffeine. All right? But minimally, even if you are going to be a coffee drinker and stuff like that, you don't want to be addicted to caffeine. So if you start to observe that you get headaches when you haven't had caffeine, this is a good sign that you are actually dependent on it, and you need to kind of wean yourself off. So just drink enough coffee to get your headache to go away, all right? But then work towards getting to where you can, basically just avoid drinking coffee and not get a headache. Then when you want to have it, that's great. But at least it's not something that your body is literally dependent on to the point that you can't get through your day without it. Okay, so just a quick little update in case we have new people who have entered the chat. We are just hit our 1 hour mark here, so I'm just going to do a little update. For those who don't know, my name is Corrina Rachel, and I'm a certified holistic health coach. This chat is all about answering your questions. If you are able to share a little tip, make a little contribution along with your question, then I will make sure to answer those questions first. Just be sure that you leave your question with your tip. So don't leave a question and then leave a tip a little while later. Or if you do, at least re-enter the question so that they'll be in one place. There's just so many comments in here now. I can't, there's no guarantee I'll be able to find your question. So I've made a whole lot of videos on this channel about health and weight loss and dieting and all kinds of various topics. So that is kind of the overall topic, ideal topic for this channel, this particular chat room. Okay, Robin Baker, what is your opinion on wheatgrass juice? Gnarly stuff. Next question. No, kidding. Wheatgrass juice. So wheatgrass is incredibly healthful. When you juice the wheatgrass, it's even more intense. And if you've ever had a wheatgrass shot, you know how intense it is. I'm not exactly sure what you're asking in terms of what my opinion is. I would say juicing in general. Okay, juicing is basically a way of concentrating ingredients, right? So and anyone who's ever had a juicer, you've actually seen this first person, right? So you can have a huge pile of vegetables, right? More than you could ever see yourself eating in 2 or 3 meals, right? It's a huge amount of vegetables. Well, then you put them through the juicer and you just get a little glass of juice. And so suddenly what would have taken you hours and hours to eat, and maybe several meals to eat, you're able to take in all of those nutrients in a glass of juice. So same thing with the wheatgrass, right? You can't actually just eat the wheatgrass. I guess you could. Maybe there's some ways you can eat it, but I don't know. Anyways, so for something like that, right, the primary way to take wheatgrass is to juice it and then just take it like a shot. But when you do that, what you end up with in that wheatgrass juice is a highly concentrated source of all of the nutrients that are present in whatever it is you've juiced, the kale, the wheatgrass, or whatever. Juicing is a ridiculously healthful thing to do. All right. It doesn't replace eating vegetables because when you juice, you're not getting quite all the nutrients and you're not getting the fiber. So it's a good thing to have as an adjunct, right? You're adding it to your diet. You eat really healthy, but then you drink green juice to help you get even more nutrients. Anytime I'm sick, anytime I'm low energy, I've seen lots of people talking about energy issues in this chat room. Green juice does amazing things for your energy levels. But anytime I'm sick or whatever, just feeling puny, I am headed to the juice bar to get a juice of some kind. It's not necessarily something you want to do every single day, because again, I just encourage you to also be eating vegetables. You know, I mean, I think you could juice every day in addition to still eating your veggies, but again, don't let it replace you actually eating your salads and eating your vegetables throughout the day, because that's really the best way to get the nutrients. Juicing is fantastic though. You know, and if you can handle taking wheatgrass shots, do it. Every time I go to the juice bar, I take a wheatgrass shot. Drinking green juice is actually really good for your skin too. It's amazing. All right, Aditya Dev, and then there was someone else, I apologize, I don't recall the name, but there was someone else a minute ago that was asking about protein bars and protein powders. Aditya says, hey, is it good to have whey protein or other protein supplements? I'm in a hostel and I don't get much protein. So, funny story, okay, I bought these like 3 years ago, these muscle milks. Like 3 years ago to show in a video, and by the time I finally did a video, I had had them too long. I couldn't return them to Walmart, so I actually still have them 3 years later, and they're literally all sitting here. There's a bunch of them. Muscle Milks, South Beach Diet. This is such crap. Okay? I will not drink it. I would not give it to my worst enemy to drink. Okay? I would not wish this stuff on anyone. And here are the myriad reasons why. Okay? Bottom line is that when you are talking about your body and what is going to fuel your body the best, okay? The more processed a food is, the farther away it is from its natural state, the way that it grew out of the ground, or the way that it came out of the animal, if you're eating animal foods. All right, the farther that it is from that state, the worse it is for you. And similarly, the closer that something is to its natural, minimally processed state, the better it is for you. So when we're talking about protein, there is an inundation of protein powders, protein bars, these little, you know, so this is like a protein powder that's already turned into a shake. Protein shake or meal replacement shakes, Slim Fast, right? If y'all been watching my videos, I recently did a video all about Slim Fast and how it's complete crud. So from the perspective of quality of protein, it's crap. And most of your whey protein powders and all of those big giant things like this of protein powder that they sell at GNC or whatever, they're all crud. Okay, it's a poor source of protein. It's a highly processed source of protein. Okay, so again, thinking about this kind of guideline of trying to eat things that are minimally processed and close to their natural state, that would mean that they don't have a crazy long ingredient list. When you see things like whey protein isolate, that's a processed ingredient. Okay? Once we're talking about whey protein, then we also have all the considerations of the dangers of factory farming and conventional dairy products, which is like a whole other topic I could go off on. But bottom line is this is what I would like to call toxic sludge. Okay? You can tell because it's got a just crazy long ingredient list. I've been doing this in a couple chats now because these have been sitting here so long. It doesn't really matter if you can read it or not, right? All you really got to be able to see is, man, that is a long ingredient list. And those are some crazy sounding chemicals. There's the whey protein isolate there at the top. So anyways, stay away from whey protein powders. Just eat natural foods. One thing that a lot of people don't realize is that protein deficiency is actually very, very rare. It's very infrequent for people to not get adequate protein. typically people are far more likely to be deficient in the vegetable related nutrients than they're going to be deficient in protein. So it's just kind of an interesting marketing ploy on behalf of these protein powder type companies to make everyone think that we're all protein deficient when actually we're nutrient deficient. It's not that people are not getting enough protein, it's that they're not getting enough vegetables. And most of the vegetables contain protein. Which is kind of a funny thing, right? When we talk about kale, even broccoli, especially when we talk about the various legumes, so garbanzo beans, aka chickpeas, kidney beans, black beans, etc. All of those natural foods are spectacular sources of protein, but they also give you a lot of other nutrients too. So stay away from the protein powders, just eat natural foods. Don't fixate on a protein deficiency. It's probably not an issue. Most people are not protein deficient. Understand that it's probably much more likely that you are deficient in your vegetable intake, your vitamins, and other nutrients than you are deficient in protein. Okay, cool. This is a good question. This is a good question too. So many questions. Let's see. Danger Robinson. So it's supposed to be like Danger Will Robinson. Okay, Danger Robinson says, why does food gluten harm human beings? So gluten is kind of a complex topic. Now, in and of itself, gluten is not an inherently harmful or toxic component. Okay, gluten is a component in grain, right? A component in wheat. And it, just like it sounds, kind of serves as the glue, which means it's sticky. So when you have a gluten-free bread, if any of you out there have ever had a gluten-free bread, you'll notice that it doesn't have that like sticky, starchy aspect that you'll find in like Iron Kids bread, right? Or any kind of white bread that's out there. So that gluten, okay, is kind of what holds it together. But the reason that gluten has gotten so much flack, okay, so much attention in the area of health and wellness, is basically just because gluten ends up where it does not belong. So when gluten is just contained within your digestive tract, your stomach, your intestines, and all of that, right? It's not harmful, okay? It doesn't hurt you. Now, anything in excess can be harmful, and most people are eating wheat in excess. But even in excess, it's not that gluten is just harmful for you in itself. The reason that gluten has had so many negative effects, and the reason that so many people are now coming up gluten intolerant, or they're going on gluten-free diets, is because the digestive tract lining has become so inflamed, okay, that it becomes what they call leaky. And that just means that things that are within the digestive tract, okay, so here's your gluten hanging out in the digestive tract, suddenly the digestive tract lining becomes permeable, and gluten moves from the digestive tract, the stomach, the colon, etc., and it moves into the bloodstream. And it doesn't belong in your bloodstream. Okay, there's a reason that your bloodstream and your digestive tract are separated. All right, because the things that we eat should not go into our bloodstream. Okay, now gluten is a fairly large molecule, so they are able to observe that when gluten enters the bloodstream, it causes various ill effects. One issue is that the immune system can actually start to attack gluten. So your immune system is constantly looking in your blood, right? And if there's a foreign invader in your bloodstream, your immune system attacks it. That's what it's there for. Well, suddenly, if you're a person who's eating gluten all the time, your digestive tract lining has become permeable, and now that gluten has entered your bloodstream. Well, if your body's immune system is registering that gluten as a foreign invader, suddenly your body starts what they call an autoimmune response. It actually kind of starts to attack itself. Okay, and all of this is just a result of the confusion, basically, between your immune system not recognizing this gluten, not realizing the reason that the gluten is there is because it's leaking in from your own digestive tract, right? So what ends up happening is that people are recommended to go on a gluten-free diet. They're recommended to, maybe even have a blood test done to determine whether they have celiac disease. Now, there are certain people who are just straight up allergic to gluten, the same way that some people are allergic to peanuts or allergic to shellfish, right? There's just certain people that they just can't eat it. They can't digest it. Like how some people can't digest milk, right? So that's celiac disease, but that is far less common. Okay, while it certainly exists that there are people out there with celiac disease and they can't eat gluten, by and large, the largest problem is just among the population who the digestive tract has become so inflamed as a result of sugar, alcohol, caffeine, processed foods. Okay, it just starts to degrade the lining of the digestive system. So once that gluten enters the bloodstream, it causes all kinds of different problems. And people, in order to resolve those problems, they have to go off of gluten. And to really resolve the problem, they need to repair the digestive tract lining. So if you put in leaky gut, that's kind of the buzzword of what I'm discussing here. When things in your digestive tract are leaking into your bloodstream, you really can have a great deal of different problems that start to manifest as a result. And typically it's going to take some pretty significant dietary changes in order to facilitate all of the different healing processes your body will need to do to resolve that issue. The good news is, though, that your body will heal. Okay, your body will repair. Any damage that you cause over the course of your life, your body can repair. And all we have to do is stop doing that thing that caused the problem in the first place to allow the body to heal and repair. So anyways, I hope that answers your question about gluten. Gluten has definitely got a lot of flack. There's so many different issues kind of surrounding the problems with wheat in our diets. Gluten is just one tiny aspect of the wheat issue, you could say. Many people out there will really swear by a grain-free diet, completely going off wheat, completely going off grains altogether. I don't necessarily think that everyone needs to do that. I certainly don't think that it is reasonable for everyone to do that. But there are certainly people out there that I think would significantly benefit by restricting or significantly limiting the presence of things like wheat, grain, etc. in the diet. All of those different topics, we actually have various videos on discussing those different little recommendations that I made, but I hope that answers your question. Give you a little bit more understanding about gluten and why it's gotten so much negative attention in recent months, but I guess it's been about a year that people have been talking about gluten. All right, you guys, I am going to do a last call for alcohol. This is coming into the home stretch of the live chat, so if you have a question that you'd like answered, please leave it again now. Remember, if you leave a tip with your question, then it will go to the top of my list. I will be sure to answer it. Tara B. Chan, I have a flatmate who eats pizza literally every day. Should I warn him about the potential harmful diet, or will he be okay? Oh my. I mean, is it your buddy? If it's your friend, I would go to him and be like, hey, friend, by the way, nothing healthy about eating pizza every day. I would be interested to know, is he eating frozen pizzas, or is he actually like ordering pizzas? Is he making his own pizza? If he was actually making his own pizza at home, then I might say, hey, it could be healthy if you ate it with a salad. But, you know, that's, I guess, a personal call based on how close of a friend you consider that person to be. He may be okay, but he will be far healthier and have far better chances of being okay if he doesn't eat pizza every single day. Anna Gonzalez, what can I do for energy if caffeine doesn't work? So this is a good question, Anna. The thing about energy is that, you know, we do not just have an indefinite energy machine. In a way, you could say that we do. Okay, so we have what's known as the adrenal glands that produce hormones, right? Things like epinephrine and adrenaline, those energizing hormones. But in order for the adrenal glands to be functioning properly and functioning the way that they're supposed to, as you might expect, there's actually a lot of other systems and a lot of other areas where balance is really important, because the adrenal glands can unfortunately become less effective at creating that energy that we need and giving us that energy. So when we talk about things that are stressful on the adrenals, probably the biggest thing is caffeine. So I would be interested to know, Anna, are you in a situation where you used to drink tons and tons of coffee, and then at some point you hit a point where it doesn't work anymore? Now you can drink the caffeine and it doesn't give you energy. Or are you someone like you've never really drank coffee at all? It's never worked for you to give you energy. More important than asking what to do for energy is, again, looking at your life, your lifestyle, and what you're doing, and trying to identify what you're doing that's causing the energy problems in the first place. Right? Because if the body is healthy and the body is functioning the way it's supposed to, then you should have those energy levels. And if you don't, then we can start asking questions like, okay, what's going on in the body that's preventing those energy levels from being where they should? So things like sleep are a big issue. I think you had mentioned earlier in the chat with your question that you're overweight. So again, that's probably, you know, like therein lies the key, so to speak. Once you can get a handle on, you know, getting your weight under control, you're getting more exercise, you're getting more sleep, you're getting more movement, you're working towards a healthier diet. You should find that as your body works to balance all those different hormones, balance all those different systems, that actually your energy levels start to come up too. So then we have this little chime in here from, where is it here? Botulism. That says slow release carbs like barley, buckwheat, greens, and fiber. So this is an awesome little tip here. So thank you, Botha, for leaving it. So yeah, slow release carbs. What that means is that you are eating natural, minimally processed sources of carbohydrates that do not immediately change to sugar in your bloodstream. Okay, so when you eat white bread or potato chips, or obviously like anything sweet, sugary, fruit roll-up kind of style, okay, the food immediately breaks down into sugar in your bloodstream, and what you get is what they call an insulin spike, blood sugar spike. What this means not only is that it causes weight gain, but it also means that you'll get a burst of carbohydrates, a burst of energy, and then very, very quickly it will start to fall down. Whereas the complex carbohydrates, okay, your slow release carbs, barley, buckwheat, brown rice, quinoa, all right, they, when you eat them, cause a slower release of carbs into the bloodstream. So instead of doing this, you get something more like this. So now you're getting a slower release of carbs throughout the day, and that will actually give you more energy than if you ate a bagel, or if you ate Cheerios, or if you ate white bread. Greens, again, all of those nutrients that you get when you eat a salad, when you drink green juice, etc., are going to be really effective for giving you energy. I was talking earlier in the wheatgrass question about how green juices are a wonderful, wonderful thing for energy. If it's something you've never had before, just start small. Start with a little bit, or maybe even start with a sweet green juice that has a lot of fruit juice in it. All right, to help you get used to the flavor. But if you can get yourself up to a point where you are drinking green juices, there's a product I showed in a recent video called Vibrant Greens. Something like that will definitely give you kind of like a boost of energy, and it's way healthier than drinking coffee or anything like that. Because you're actually helping to support the adrenal gland in doing what it's supposed to do. Whereas when you drink caffeine, it's kind of like fake energy. It's kind of like a loan on energy sort of a thing. Actually, I see that question a lot. Rachel Fanning says, is it weird that I've never heard Corrina's voice at full volume? I actually see that a lot because a lot of people find me through the ASMR channel. So they're like, wow, you sound so different talking in your normal voice. And perhaps I guess I do sound different. Which is funny. Okay, so there's been some question about blood type diets. I think that the eating for your blood type approach definitely seems to, I mean, it makes perfect sense just in theory, but then also I have, talked to people that had, positive results when they started looking at that consideration. There's a doctor on YouTube named Eric Berg, B-E-R-G. He's done a lot of videos on blood type diets and eating for your blood type, eating for your body type. I definitely would recommend that you go check him out in that area. The bottom line on different diets and ways of eating is that, it's a lot of different factors that are going to indicate your ideal diet. And you got to accept that your ideal diet may change throughout the course of your life, throughout the course of the year, if you move to different places. The example that I use all the time is, imagine someone in Africa that's eating the diet that they eat in Alaska. Or if people in Alaska were eating the foods that people eat in Africa, right? Just being in a different, environment and a different climate is going to have, kind of drastic effects on the types of foods that your body needs during that time. So just accept that, finding the perfect diet is not necessarily finding a carved in stone rule of the way that you should eat. It's something that may change, okay, over the course of your life, over the course of the year, etc. And it's going to look different, potentially, than the way that your mom eats, or the way that your favorite YouTuber eats, or the way that your best friend eats, right? Every different body has a different ideal diet, and it's really up to us to kind of work with different things and try different things till we arrive at that perfect diet that we feel gives us the best energy, makes us feel the way we want to feel, and be able to reach those goals that we're trying to reach. See Mira, whenever I do cardio exercise, my acne prone skin tends to go crazy despite being hygienic and showering right away. Is this some form of purging or hormonal? Sweat is one of the primary ways that your body detoxifies. And yes, your sweat is filled with toxins. That's part of why it smells so bad. So, in a way, the skin, okay, your integumentary system, your skin, it's your body's largest organ. And it is one of the primary vehicles through which your body can get rid of stuff it needs to get rid of. So yeah, I would say, yeah, it's a form of purging in a way. If you... I'm just trying to find the best words to say because I don't want to deter you from exercising. Bottom line is that if you are having breakouts and stuff and you're having a lot of toxicity that comes out when you work out and when you sweat, that's just an indication that you need to sweat more. You need to keep doing that. At some point, what you should experience, okay, and it may not, it may be a couple months or it may even be a year or two, but at some point, you should kind of hit a certain, a certain level where your skin starts to repair. Your skin starts to heal. And then suddenly, what used to cause you breaking out and stuff like that will actually cause your skin to get healthier because your body's able to purge out and get rid of all the toxins that are hanging out inside, just waiting to come out. You also mentioned there about hormones, which indicates or just makes me think that maybe you're in your teens. I said this at the beginning of the chat, but I'll go ahead and say it again here. Anyone in their teens to even early 20s, this is a prime time for your body growing, lots of hormone balancing going on, lots of changes going on. So when you're in that little time frame, your teens, your early 20s, just understand that your body is going through so much that just do your best to get through that time. And then once you start hitting 23, 24, all right, then you can start really trying to figure out exactly what your ideal weight is and exactly where the sweet spot is for you, so to speak, in terms of how much you want to work out, what way you want to eat. Once you're kind of through a lot of those hormonal changes that are happening during those years, you should start to find that a lot of those issues you had in your teens start to resolve. So anyways, take-home message to just kind of give you a summation there is keep exercising, definitely keep sweating. The fact that you're breaking out after you sweat is probably an indication that your body has a lot of toxins inside and it needs to get them out. So I'm sure that it's not pleasant. And it's definitely not comfortable to have to go through that, but just know that it is much better for those toxins to get to the outside of your body than to just keep hanging out inside. And again, the more that you keep consistent, keep working out, keep going, you should reach a point where you stop having those negative effects on your skin. Other things you consider other things you could consider is, what type of products are you using on your skin? What type of soaps? I am super duper natural with the soaps and skin products I use. If you're using regular soaps and body washes, especially if you're using stuff from like Bath and Body Works or whatever, those things are loaded with preservatives and chemicals and fragrances and all kinds of stuff that could be really, really bad for your skin. So you might even try just going super duper natural. Super duper natural with the skincare products you use. Alrighty, guys. So it is almost 4 here. Kat, if you want to leave your question again, I will answer it here as my last question. There's so many questions that come in through this chat room. I literally cannot answer them all. I apologize. I do my best, but I do not remember seeing your question, Kat. I apologize. So Simira, she says, I use products from Dermalogica. I'm not familiar with that brand, but it sounds like it's a natural brand. But I also see that you said you just got off birth control less than a year ago, been trying to get your period back. So I would definitely say that it seems like the issue is probably hormonal. And so the good news is that your body will be able to get those hormones back in balance. And hopefully, when your body's able to do that over the course of this next year or whatever, you should hopefully see that the acne breakouts and stuff like that start to diminish. Alrighty, guys, thank you so much for being in this chat. I really, really, really love hearing y'all's questions. I have so much fun doing this. I don't know if y'all can tell, but I absolutely love you guys being here, love hearing y'all's questions, and really greatly appreciate you sharing this time with me. So what can I say? Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your questions, and all of you who left a tip today, thank you so very much. It is so kind of you. Cannot tell you how grateful I am for your support. I hope that you guys will subscribe to Psychetruth. Come back, join me again next week for more lovely live chats, and I wish you all the best in health, wellness, and reaching all of your goals. I know you can do it. Just coming to this chat put you one step closer to reaching all of those goals that you have. So thank you for being here, and I will see y'all again next week. It's time for live chat. The Psychetruth live chat. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on your YouTube machine. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. I'll answer your questions about whatever you want to talk about on the Psychetruth. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. Live chat. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful for you coming and spending this time with me today. Thanks again to everyone and for your wonderful questions, and I will see you guys again next week. Thank you so much, and I can't wait to see you guys next time.